Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again to my channel. Again, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button. Help the channel out by checking out the links below. We're looking at round 2 of the Norway Chess tournament. We are looking at the classical game between Viswanathan Anand and Veselin Topalov. So two of the old school grandmasters, both former world champions, going at it in a Queen's Gambit accepted. So let's get right into it. Game started off d4 from Topalov, who had the white pieces. Once again, Anand with the black pieces. d5, c4, d takes c4, Queen's Gambit accepted. And now we have this variation e4, which is a rare guest, but nevertheless playable. But it seems that black has definitely found ways of equalizing. Now, b5 is played. Now this is basically, at least I thought this was not really playable, and I'm not sure. I mean, listen, Anand has played it, so it must be playable. But I was convinced that this was no good for black. That black had to choose other alternatives to equalize, like c5, knight f6, and even e5 is well known. b5, excuse me, b5 I thought was a little bit too ambitious on black's behalf to just try to hold on to this pawn, neglecting development, etc. Topalov plays a4, which is what you're supposed to do. You attack this pawn chain before black gets consolidated. c6. And now here, Topalov let me down a little bit and played knight c3. Of course, its theory is playable. However, I remember reading years ago, correspondence grandmaster Hans Berliner came out with a book called The System. No, not My System by Nimzovich, but The System. And where he gives some analysis on this particular line. And he basically, in his words, he basically refutes this line from black. But what he does, instead of playing knight c3 here, he gives the line a takes b5 first, c takes b5, then knight c3. And basically gives bishop d7 as the only real, only legitimate defense to this b pawn. I'm not gonna get into all the analysis. You have to look up yourself, but I'm telling you, after 20 plus years, it still holds up. And I would have loved to see Topalov go into this. So who knows if he knew this or not, or remembered it. But yeah, as you can see here, the b5 pawn is hard to protect. a6 can't be played because of the rook situation on a8. So bishop d7, b4 is not nothing that white has to worry about. Bishop d7, and now here's the critical move that Berliner gives. Exclamation mark is d5, and you guys can take this position here. I might do just a separate video on this variation right here. But after d5, I do not really see a good, viable continuation for black. Again, I could go into all his analysis, and it's surprisingly has held up. His analysis has held up because this is like the pre-engine era, early engine era. We're talking about 99, 2000, and you could try e5, e6 for white. For black. Of course, queen b6 doesn't work. Knight f6 doesn't work. Of course, is black lost? No, but his position is definitely worse. Again, queen c7 is playable, but after knight f3, it's white has a nice position, right, due to this dominance in the center here. For example, a5, e4, e5, a4, Just some sample moves. You can see what White's development looks like here. Very strong position for White. So I would have definitely loved to see Topalov go into that against Anand here. Topalov played knight c3 right away, b4, and now we're into these classical, more known lines. Knight b1, bishop a6, queen c2, queen takes d4, knight f3, gaining time against the queen. Bishop takes c4. Some pieces get traded off, and now basically Anand has to just make sure that he consolidates, develops and doesn't fall too far behind in this area, as Topalov is rapidly developing his pieces. fd1, c5. Topalov gets the pawn back. Knight b3. It looks risky, but he's able to protect himself. Queen takes b4, and he even goes up a pawn here. Knight c6, queen e1, rook a b8, and now bishop takes e7. The position at this point is pretty much equal. I mean, Topalov could have played rook a c1, but bishop takes e7 is just fine. Queen takes e7, and now knight fd2, queen b4. And now, after queen e2, knight d4, knight takes, queen takes, b3, h6, rook a2, a5. You can see that Anand has compensation. That even though Anand is a pawn down, his minority attack has proven effective, as now White has a backward b pawn, okay, which is highlighted in red. He also has pressure on the e4 pawn. So the knight on d2 is stuck there. It's a bad piece. Okay, as the knight on d2 is responsible for protecting the b pawn and the e pawn. So the knight being bad on d2 makes the rook bad on d1. And at this level, one bad piece can decide the outcome of the game. However, a pawn is a pawn, and Topalov is still up a pawn. So, listen, if Topalov can consolidate, protect the pawn, and wiggle out of his predicament, so to speak, then he'll just be up a pawn. But right now, Black has all of the better pieces, control in the center, all right? And it's these factors that Black will use, of course, or try to use to equalize the material, the position, while White tries to untangle. Usually these type of situations resolve themselves whereby White gives back the material in order to restore his positional integrity, and you end up with an equal game. Game continued. H3, queen b4, putting pressure on the b pawn. Queen e1, rook c3, rook b2, rook d8, rook db1, knight d7. So you can see, yes, Topalov is trying to hold on to the pawn, but of course, at some point he's going to realize, hey, not at the detriment of my position. Queen e2, rook b8, rook d1, knight c5, and so all of Anand's pieces are beautifully coordinated. Rook bb1, rook d3, e5 from Topalov, rook d5, knight c4, and now you can see Topalov getting his pieces better coordinated. However, Anand is able to take this time to restore the material equality, and that's the trade-off. So he got real dynamic in the position. Black, that I'm talking about, became real dynamic, active. White had to give up his material, so it was like an even trade-off, which results in a level position. Rook a1, and now knight c3. And now the game ended here at queen d6, move 37. And you might say, hey, what gives? It's an equal position here. Topalov actually lost on time here. So you can see he's on move 37. And so Anand wins the second classical game in a very anticlimactic fashion. The pressure that Anand was putting on the position just caused Topalov to use way too much time on the clock, and he just fell under time pressure. So there wasn't much to that game, but I wanted to show that game because it's a rare line of the Queen's Gambit accepted, and you don't really see it that often. And but I wanted to definitely show you that because I thought it was important to bring up Berliner's analysis um, that he produced way back in 1999, and to challenge the audience out there to see if it actually holds up. I believe it holds up. Um, if you played that line against me on chess.com, I would play the line I just showed you. I believe it holds up in 2022. I would challenge anyone from unranked to grandmaster to to show me the path to equality against that in that particular line that I just showed. But unfortunately, Topalov did not play what I feel is a correct line. The most trying line is playing a4 right away and exchanging the pawn. Instead, he played knight c3 first. So, there you have it. So, anyway, shocking loss. We've seen grandmasters lose on time before, but usually not in classical time situations. So, anyway, that does it for today's recap of the classical game. Of course, there's other games that were decisive, mostly Armageddon games. But I just want to remind everybody once again, Chess Audiobooks is on Lee Chess, chess.com, Instagram, and also Twitter. So please follow me on those platforms. Consider donating to my channel, checking the links below. And also hit that thumbs up button. And if you don't do anything else, hit the thumbs up button because that helps promote these videos in the YouTube algorithm. All right. I'll see you guys on the next video.